Okay, so I'm going for a bigger, more aggressive rock sound with a lot of this record. So one thing I'm doing is compressing a lot of my drum mics. This is my stereo ribbon mic that's right out in front of the kit. The mic gives me a lot of the chunky early reflections from the kit, kind of broadens the sound of the toms and snare, and it gets compressed through this stereo Neve compressor. And it's a healthy amount of compression. It's probably 6 dB compression overall. My far room mics, which are my 87s way back in the room, they get a little bit of compression as well. And I like to get the sustain and the noise and the life and the sparkle out of those far room mics. So I'm looking for a compressor that has a lot of length to it, but also breathes and pumps and gives me something back, gives me some jingle, some excitement. So they're going in a Chandler TG compressor, and that's a fair amount of compression. That's probably 6 dB, 10 dB of, actually I have it in the limit mode, and I'm using that for all my length in the drums, all my sustain. My one lo-fi mic that is underneath the snare drum and underneath the kick drum, kind of by the drummer's pedal. It's a very cheap microphone, and that gets distorted through a Levelor compressor. The Levelor is a modern day version of the old Shure level lock automatic gain control, and basically I get all that snap and distortion and excitement out of that microphone, and that gets compressed through this very lo-fi, very aggressive compressor here. So I'm almost using that as just a distortion box. Still talking about drums here. I'm using a mono feed of my close mics on the drums. This is kind of something that I would do in mixing, but of late I've been doing it as I track. I'm sort of getting closer. I'm inching towards my final mix in every stage of the recording. So one thing I do is I actually print with a parallel compressor while I'm tracking. So my close mics, meaning my kick inside, kick outside, snare top mics, tom mics, those go through a parallel compressor and they get blended in with everything. And in this case, I'm using a Cush tweaker, which is a very aggressive, dirty sounding compressor. I can overload the VCA in that compressor and get a nice crack and spank on the drum sound, and that becomes part of my overall drum picture. So those close mics get fed in here, and this gets blended in with the overall drum mix. On my close inside kick drum mic, I have a API graphic EQ on the insert, and I use that to take a lot of the low mids out of that kick drum mic. It gets kind of boxy being inside the drum and close up. You don't get enough attack and enough length of note. So I take a lot of mids out and maybe add some bottom, and that's done with an API graphic here. Bass is going through a classic Neve console 1073 style preamps, 31102s as the actual number, but then they go through a pair of Pultecs and a pair of DBX 160 compressors. Pultecs add a little bit of size and bottom to the bass. The DBX compressors I love for bass because they're kind of aggressive, they're fast. I can use just a little bit of them and not have to squish the bass too much unless it's something I'm looking to do, but I get a little bit of spark and excitement on the bass. So my bass goes from the console preamps into the Pultecs into these two DBXs. Bass chain is Neve preamps 31102s into these two old Pultec EQP1As, out of the Pultecs into these two DBX 160 compressors here. Back to the drums. There's a couple of things that I'm not compressing in the drum kit. I'm not compressing my kick drum, I'm not compressing my toms, my overheads, my hi-hats. I'm compressing more the mics that are around the kit. The close mics, I really want to get all the attack and detail and natural sound from them. So they don't get processed as much as I process the room mics or the lo-fi mics. For instance, in this case, the overheads, the C37As that are on the drum kit, they're not getting any compression. They're just getting some top-end boost, and they're going right to Pro Tools. And I'm very particular about the signal path on a lot of this. Wherever I can avoid amps in the chain, I do. So for instance, an overhead mic or a tom mic or a hi-hat mic that I want to be as punchy and clear as possible, I just take it right out of the insert on the channel on the console. So I eliminate a couple of amp stages, and maybe that eliminates a little coloration, but it also gives me I feel it gives me a faster transient and a little bit more aggressive drum sound. Today I'm using C37As on overheads because I love the sound of the C37As. They're an old tube mic from the 50s. They're very open. They have a nice little dip in the mid-range, so it makes cymbals not too clanky, but they have an extended top end, so you get all that air and sparkle as well without getting the trashiness in the cymbal. And they also have a nice way of, there's something about the tube circuit in that mic that compresses. It's almost like a built-in LA2A compressor on the microphone. So a drummer that hits pretty hard, the microphone implodes in a really, really nice way. So I love those as overheads. Sometimes I do 67s, sometimes C12s or C12As, but in this case, because I'm getting a lot of the character from the room mics, and I want just the air and the detail from the close mics, I'm not doing a lot of processing. I'm leaving the close mics in their kind of unprocessed state. So the one thing we're doing with this session today is we're working with the band Wildling, who I'm in the midst of an album for. They're on Warner Brothers Records. We're about halfway through their album or so. And we spent about 3 weeks doing pre-production, really working on their arrangements for songs. This song is a cover, but a cover done in their own style. And the band went in free time and did a demo of the song and really came up with something good. So instead of going back into that rehearsal room process of rearranging the song from scratch or from a guitar and vocal demo, they've got a fully flushed out demo with drums, bass, keyboards, and they've got it in a good place. So we're kind of going to work from their demo. I like the tempo. I like the basic arrangement. We might do some tightening up to the form. The song might be a little long. We might nip out a few bits. But we're really going to have the band play along with these stems, these home demos that they made. Because what we're trying to achieve is a live band version of the in-the-box sounds that they created. In other words, the programmed drums that was on the demo, the programmed bass. So we're basically trying to amp the whole picture up, make it sound like a live band, make it sound like the rest of their album sounds like, because their album really has a lot of off-the-floor live energy, so we're trying to capture that and put it in with this demo that they created, because like I said, it really captures a mood and it's got a lot of character. So the first step we're going to do is to replace the programmed drums, bass, and we're going to maybe add to the keyboards that are there. The song is built around a Mellotron loop, and we're going to have Andrew play that Mellotron loop live. And maybe in the end, it'll end up being chopped up in a loop just like it started, but we'll have a better sound from his Mellotron versus the in-the-box Mellotron that the band started with. Eric, the guitar player, is going to play a really nice, lush, arpeggiated part in the second verse, and then some outro bits. First step we're going to take after getting all our band sounds, we're going to have the band play along with those stems. Make sure there's not too much information in their headphones. Make sure that it's all working together. See what part of the band arrangement works against the stems. And that'll be our starting place. So here we go. Before I run the track, I'd love to hear everybody just play a little together. Make sure you guys can hear yourselves, and then we'll put the stems in the mix. Cool. Okay, everybody hearing all right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me roll a little bit of the stems and let me know if you need a different balance or anything. Okay, so the band is playing to their demo because basically we're kind of trying to copy a few of the parts in there and just pump up the sound a little bit. So they're going to be playing to a number of keyboards that are all already programmed, a pulse synth that kind of goes throughout the tune, some very effecty Moog little blips and some weird backward sounds and all. So I want to make sure that what they're doing relates to the stems, that I can blend it all together, that it's all part of the same picture. And I also want to make sure that they're not overplaying, losing some of the charm that those pre-records have. And I want to make sure that they hear enough of them so they play with them and they find their spot in the arrangement. So that's really critical, and that's why I want them to hear the stems in their headphones just once so they make sure they get them in a good balance and they can kind of make it like a record in their headphones. Okay, guys, I'm going to run the stems for you. Let me know if you got them in your headphones. Maybe play along. Let's get a balance.
Okay. Awesome. Duke.
Okay, cool. This is going to be great.